You know, it's funny. We always talk about how precise Justin Tucker is with his kicks.
Right.
But it turns out his image was pretty carefully constructed as well.
Yeah.
Which is what makes this whole situation so fascinating.
It is.
And kind of unsettling.
For sure.
I mean, 6 massage therapists accusing him of sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
These are allegations that completely contradict the good guy image we all thought we knew.
Yeah, it's like watching a carefully built Jenga tower, and then you see it start to wobble a little bit.
Exactly.
We have this image of Tucker as the most accurate kicker in NFL history.
Uh-huh.
Super Bowl champ, seemingly devoted family man.
Right.
And suddenly these allegations just throw everything we thought we knew into question.
Yeah, and the timing is almost ironic.
It really is.
Because these accusations first surfaced back in October of 2025.
Oh, wow.
Just as he was really solidifying his place in NFL history,
Yeah.
like his career peaks, and then blam, this bombshell drops.
I think what's particularly interesting to me is the power dynamic here. You know, we often talk about power imbalances in the abstract, but when you think about the NFL specifically,
Yeah.
you have these star athletes at the very top of their game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this support staff people like massage therapists whose livelihoods depend on maintaining these good relationships with these athletes.
It's a point that I hadn't really considered before.
Right.
But it makes total sense when you think about it. Like
Yeah.
it's a setup that could make it really hard for someone to speak up, even if something was wrong.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to understand this concept of due process in these situations.
Okay.
It means that everyone, including Justin Tucker,
Right.
is entitled to a fair and impartial investigation before any judgments are made.
So while we're all trying to wrap our heads around these allegations, Tucker comes out swinging,
Oh, really?
holds a press conference,
Wow.
denies everything, calls the accusations unequivocally false.
Wow.
And he even vowed to fight to clear his name and protect his family.
That's a pretty typical response we see in these situations.
Uh-huh.
But it does raise the question of legal strategy.
Yeah.
If his legal team is smart, they're going to be digging deep,
Mhm.
looking for inconsistencies in the accuser's stories,
Right.
anything that could cast doubt on their claims.
And in the meantime, we see statements of support pouring in from the Baltimore Ravens organization.
Yeah.
NFL officials, even some of his teammates.
That's a natural human response, I think, to rally around someone.
Right.
Especially when they're facing serious accusations. But it also highlights this tension in these situations,
Yeah.
How do we reconcile supporting someone we admire with the need to believe and support potential victims?
Right.
It's a very complex, emotional, and ethical dilemma.
Yeah, it reminds me of other high-profile cases where public figures have been accused of misconduct.
Mm-hmm.
The Me Too movement has definitely shined a light on these issues, particularly within the NFL.
The NFL has a bit of a checkered past when it comes to handling these kinds of situations.
So early.
Think back to the case with name of NFL player involved in previous sexual misconduct case back in year.
Oh, yeah.
The league's response was description of NFL response to that previous case, and it sparked a lot of debate about their commitment to protecting victims and holding players accountable.
So we've got a situation where the league itself is under scrutiny for how it handles these cases.
Right.
We have this inherent power dynamic between athletes and support staff.
Yeah.
And it just creates this incredibly complex landscape where it's hard to know what to believe or who to trust.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the media frenzy around all this.
Oh, yeah.
The moment those accusations went public, it was like a feeding frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
Every sports outlet, every news channel,
Right.
everyone had an opinion.
Yeah.
And most of them were based on very little information.
It's that whole trial by media thing.
Right.
Social media was blowing up, too,
Right.
with fans either vehemently defending Tucker or calling for his immediate expulsion from the league. And there was very little nuanced discussion about the, complexities of the situation.
It's a prime example of how social media can amplify both the best and the worst aspects of public discourse.
Yeah.
It can provide a platform for important conversations and support for victims.
Right.
But it can also very quickly devolve into a space for just unfounded accusations and character assassinations.
And amidst all this noise,
Yeah.
the NFL is quietly conducting its own internal investigation.
Okay.
I have to admit, I'm not really clear on what that entails.
Yeah.
Like, what does a typical NFL investigation look like in a case like this?
Well, it can vary depending on the specifics of the allegations.
Okay.
But generally, it involves a team of investigators gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, reviewing any relevant documents.
Uh-huh.
They might also consult with external experts like forensic psychologists or legal professionals.
Oh, wow.
Depending on the nature of the case.
So it's not just some quick internal review. It
Yeah.
sounds like a pretty thorough process.
It should be. You know, the NFL has a personal conduct policy that outlines the standards of behavior expected from everyone associated with the league.
Right.
And they have a responsibility to investigate these situations thoroughly and to take appropriate action if a violation is found.
And while the NFL is doing its thing,
Yeah,
we have to remember that there's a potential legal battle brewing as well.
absolutely.
I imagine both sides are lawyering up and preparing their cases.
For sure.
So on Tucker's side, his legal team will likely be focused on discrediting the accuser's accounts, searching for inconsistencies or gaps in their stories,
Right.
and potentially highlighting any motivations they might have for coming forward.
Yeah.
They could also explore options for counterclaims like defamation or extortion
Right.
if they believe that the allegations are completely fabricated.
Exactly.
And what about the massage therapists?
Yeah.
What kind of legal recourse would they have?
Well, they could potentially file civil lawsuits against Tucker, alleging things like assault battery or intentional infliction of emotional distress. However, these types of cases can be very challenging to win,
Right.
as they often rely heavily on witness testimony and circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
It can be incredibly difficult to prove these types of claims in a court of law.
Yeah, especially when it's one person's word against another.
Exactly.
It's a stark reminder that the legal process is distinct from the court of public opinion.
Absolutely.
Someone can be found not guilty in a court of law,
Right.
but still face significant damage to their reputation and career
Of course.
based on public perception.
Exactly. And for someone like Justin Tucker, whose entire brand was built on precision and integrity, this whole situation, regardless of the legal outcome, has irrevocably tarnished his image.
It raises a really uncomfortable question for fans like us.
Yeah.
Can you still admire someone's talent and accomplishments when they're accused of something this serious? Yeah. It's tough because we associated him with, those game-winning kicks and those clutch performances, that almost superhuman ability to deliver under pressure. And now this dark cloud just hangs over everything.
It makes you kind of rethink what you value in a public figure. Is it purely about talent and achievement?
Yeah.
Or do character and integrity play a bigger role than we maybe acknowledge sometimes?
And this case isn't happening in a vacuum, right? We're having these conversations about power dynamics and consent and accountability across all of society.
Oh, absolutely. The Me Too movement forced us to confront these issues,
Yeah.
in Hollywood and politics and corporate America. And now the sports world is having its own reckoning.
So it makes me wonder if this case will be a turning point for the NFL.
Yeah.
Will it change how they handle these situations in the future?
Right.
Will it lead to more robust policies or support systems for victims?
That's the hope, isn't it? That these situations, however painful and messy, can lead to some positive change. But it requires constant vigilance, both from within the league and from fans who demand accountability.
So where does this leave us? We've explored the allegations and the denials, the legal and social complexities.
Yeah.
What stands out to you as the most important takeaway from all this?
For me, it's a reminder that we can never truly know the full story.
Yeah.
We see these public figures, these athletes that we admire, and we create these narratives about who they are.
Right.
But there's always more beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And sometimes that more is something we don't want to see.
It's a sobering thought, for sure.
It is.
And it makes me wonder how we navigate being fans of athletes or celebrities, knowing that they're human, capable of making mistakes, even very serious ones.
It requires a healthy dose of skepticism and critical thinking and a willingness to engage with uncomfortable truths. It means acknowledging that our idols can disappoint us.
Yeah.
That the people we admire may not always live up to our expectations.
Well, this deep dive has certainly been a journey.
It has.
We started with Justin Tucker, the seemingly perfect kicker.
Right.
And we ended up exploring these complex issues of power and accountability and the very nature of fandom.
Yeah.
I hope this is giving you a lot to think about.
Me too.
Maybe you'll even want to look into other cases like this in sports or other fields and see how they've been handled.
That's a great idea.
What parallels do you see? What lessons can we learn?
Just remember, critical thinking is key,
Yeah.
Don't just accept everything you read or hear at face value.
Right.
Question your assumptions. Seek out different perspectives and form your own informed opinions.
Well said.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, this was great.
We'll be back next time with another fascinating topic ready to unpack it all with you.